All right, we're live.
I guess when it says live, you actually have to go.
Well,
you have to do something.
It's waiting for both platforms to sync up. Welcome to Real Life Lounge. This is episode 9, and we are continuing with our homeschool myths.
Yeah, so last week we started talking a little bit about, we kind of hit that whole socialization topic. Today we're going to bring up something that we're just going to call it rigor. Mm-hmm. So kids in traditional schools, you could classify that as a rigorous way of learning, right? And that rigor is needed because hard work needs to be implanted, and you have to put the hours in the classroom to get the learning done, and it needs to be in a rigorous way. And the homeschool view is that some others might perceive it as this is not rigorous enough. You're not doing anything. You're sitting around. You're not learning enough. You're not putting in the hours. And that's the myth we're going to try to just talk about a little bit today.
Yeah. So we talked about several things beforehand when it comes to rigor. And the first one was this concept of how we went through school and it was rigorous and hard, and we had to do all the tests and the homework and the projects and all the things. And I think there's this mindset of, well, we went through it and that's the best way, right? So that's how our kids should also learn.
Yeah. That's something I honestly struggled with as a homeschool parent at first, was that we're not doing enough of those things in my mind that school included, like learning the facts, right? All of the memorization type stuff. And what we really start to realize is that so much of traditional schooling is designed to take that test, memorize that thing, right? Get past that unit and move on. And I think when we think back to our own experience as students, is like, we did pretty well on tests, and then we left it all behind and never looked at it again or even remembered it again. So then it comes down to this whole idea of like, well, was that the right way? Was that the most effective way to learn? Even though it was the way that everybody's been doing it for so long, as parents, we have to say like, it's not, that's the way we did it, so you need to do it too. It's maybe there's a better way. And I think that's what we kind of look at with homeschooling.
Well, and I think too that, the public school system was set up during the industrial age, and the structure of the classes and memorizing for a test or working towards a project, and it's designed in a way to move a large group of kids through school. It needs to be practical, right? Like you can't have each child on their own individual learning journey in the public school. So while a homeschool family may not have the same rigor, it allows homeschool families to cater the learning to the child's development and the pace that they're at and their interests. That's one of the things that we've really loved, is that we do these passion projects and we let our girls pick topics of something that they're interested in, and we try to incorporate certain elements into that project so they're working on the skills that are age appropriate, like reading and writing and presentation skills and all those things, but it's more self-paced at where they're at, and they get to pick the subject. So it's really been a fun way for us to meet our kids where they're at.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about last week with socialization was this idea of us wanting to create an environment that was conducive to our kids learning at their best. And so much of this idea of rigor is that same thing. It's like each individual is different. And part of our job as a parent is to understand what those needs of our individual children are, and then create the environment that allows them to learn the best way. And that's not going to mimic traditional schooling. It's not going to be sit in this desk for 7 hours a day while we run through each subject one at a time and quiz you and go over the facts and memorization cards. So it's, again, like understanding what the child needs, and then just kind of like catering to it.
So what about if I was new to homeschooling and I'm worried that my kids aren't going to learn how to work hard?
Yeah.
Homeschooling, because they're not they don't have like that teacher and the subject like pushing them along. How are they going to know how to work hard if they're homeschooled?
Yeah, again, I don't think that's necessarily something that you pick up from school. I mean, school puts you in an environment to where it rewards hard work, but I'm not sure it teaches you how to work hard. So it's two different things. So if you are a child who really is seeking reward, you might learn to work hard so that you get that reward. But there's other ways to teach hard work. And I think that you can instill those things as a parent. And again, a lot of it is just modeling your own behavior and your own hard work. But again, it's like, are you schooling to prepare your kids for a job, a work environment, which school mimics work environments? Or are you preparing them to create a life of their own? That might mean getting a job, but it also might mean creating something for themselves in the future, whether it be a business or an entrepreneur like type of endeavor, or creating a life that is outside the boundaries of maybe that like work type environment. So,
well, I also think that school kind of forces you to work hard in the reward system, right? Of getting the good grades and wanting to be a good student versus, again, with homeschooling, allowing your kids to pick their interests. They work hard because it's something that they're excited about and that they're passionate about. So they learn how to work hard because they're self-motivated. It's that intrinsic motivation versus the external motivation. And the last kind of thing that we talked about was this element of play that we feel like is one of the magical things with homeschooling that has been kind of hard for us to embrace because we aren't always very playful and childlike. But you had shared a video the other day that I shared to the real life stories about play versus memorizing facts.
Yeah, I think
it was really interesting.
It takes like 300 to 400 reps when you're learning something in like a memorization type mode to ingrain it. And learning the same thing using play, it takes like 10 to 20 reps. So it's like a significantly more effective way when you encourage and implement play into learning. So that's a big learning for us as homeschool parents, is to try to learn through play. Another thing that comes into play for us, and I think helps in the aiding of learning, is nature.
Yeah, it's that exploration and being able to play outside and just, taking the break from schooling and going on walks and going to the playground and all the things that we learn just through natural discovery of being outside.
Yeah. Do you want to learn about frogs in a book, or do you want to go find frogs at the stream and then like observe them? Right. So it's two different ways.
Yeah, like a couple of years ago, we found some snails in a local stream nearby, and we brought them home, and they ended up making babies. So that was a whole like real life experiment. That was not intended, but a very fun byproduct of just exploring and playing. So, yeah,
I think the biggest thing that we have to do as like our challenge has been to maybe create a new pathway that breaks generational norms, and just trying to look at each individual thing to say, like, are we doing this because this is the way it's always been done? Or are we really doing this because it's the best way? So if we challenge those generational norms and say, what is the best way going forward? That's when we start coming up with these new, maybe less normalized ideas or less accepted ideas that come along with some of the homeschooling strategies and thinking out there.
All right. Well, if you think of any other homeschool myths or questions that you have that you want us to address this month, please comment, send us a message and let us know. And thanks for tuning in to this episode of Real Life Lounge. Real topics, real talk.
You got it. You nailed it.
Them around. So be sure to subscribe, share with your friends, and thank you for all of your support. Have a good day.